Because if you check it properly, my dear, there is no way the government would want to stop this and they cannot stop it. I don't believe that.
Okay, so we've spoken at length about the speak at home. I want to talk about something very interesting. I want to know the last time you drove your car intentionally. I want to, you know where I'm going to with this. But I want to, the reason why I'm asking is because, of course, the fuel hike. Yeah. But I want to know the last time you drove your car.
Well, you know, people say I'm a man of truth. You know, I always say the way it is.
Yes.
You know, to be honest. So it's not something he will just come hush hush and know. Then he will not, he's not going to achieve any result by bringing the pump price down for Nigerians. So he's treading with caution. If he had the right to drill his own crude and do his thing, I think he would have done that.
Well, we'll hope for a change.
Let's come back again still to the sit-at-home stuff. I believe you have kids.
Sure, I do.
So how is it like today and yesterday, especially today? Did you take them out to school? We are there, I don't know. Did you keep them in the house because of fear?
Fortunately for me, they're on midterm break. Maybe the school saw what was going to happen this week and decided to call this week. So there is no, but to be honest with you, if they were in school,
and the school
were open,
yes,
I wouldn't have taken my kids to the school. I've done it severally. I wouldn't have done. I can't risk them. Because one, what is the security level of these schools? Even though they are private, even though they're, what is security? Can they protect these kids when it comes to that? No. So if you do it at your own risk. Me, I've never tried. Even before I started allowing them go to school on Mondays, I saw that okay, fine. 90% of the pupils come to school. I decided to join the. If not, I don't.
Okay, you probably want to know, when did you hear about the sit-at-home of yesterday and today? These 2 days sit-at-home. Where did you hear?
Well, honestly, I have to be honest with you. I heard this when I went to fix my car at the mechanic. That was the first time I heard that 21st is going to be a serious shutdown. But me, my usual way, I mean.
When was that? What date?
Don't ask me the date because this is not too important for me.
It's about last
2 weeks. Last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I had it quite on time. Last 2 weeks.
Oh, yeah. So the information had been spreading flow.
You know, within this low-hanging fruits people, you know, this information you get it first from them because they are the people that feel it's their thing, it's their game. So I heard it. I said, who told you? I said, okay, watch and see now. And I never thought of it until that yesterday when I said, when I wanted to go to market yesterday. And I learned that the whole market was short, man. It got to me kind of because it affected my feeding, to be honest with you. I had to eat what I didn't want to eat. But if the market were open, I would have done what I wanted to do. So it affected me. I don't know about you, but personally, it affected me. And I am saying that this has to come to an end. It has to stop. It's not helping anybody. Like I told somebody one that said, if the Igbos really want this thing done, I think what they need to do is to move over to Abuja and protest. That is where they are holding Nnamdi Kanu. It's not obstructing businesses and everything in the East. That's my own thinking.
Protesting, you said. People came out to protest and they were charged for.
And you can't stop it. It's your civil right. You can't stop protesting.
Even those that came out to remember the NSACs were also arrested.
You just can't stop protesting.
So who is going to come out? That's the point.
People will still come out. Fearless October, people came out. Even though they tried to kill it. But people still came out. If there are reasons for people to come out, they should come out. And they will come out. When they were holding Ezazaki, you saw what the Northerners did. They went to Abuja. They left Abuja and we came to Abuja. That is where they are holding him. Show this government that you're not happy with what's happening. It's not shutting down the Southeast zone and killing your brothers and sisters. I mean.
All right. Thank you very much, Pupa. You've been very insightful and very helpful, of course, with your own view from where you're coming from. Again, Enugu East, you guys seem to be very safe. We're going to be getting more information from Enugu South and Enugu North as well, and every other part of Enugu and the Southeast as a whole to keep you updated on things.
entertainment news on Signature TV. I'll be your host on this wonderful segment, so sit back and let the buzz begin. Nollywood actor Kunle Remi has addressed the allegations of being gay after his name surfaced in the list of celebrities involved in homosexuality. The accusation surfaced after a popular blog, Gist Lover, included Kunle Remi on a list of Nigerian celebrities allegedly involved in homosexual activities. This sparked widespread discussions online. The reports have generated mixed reactions, with some fans questioning Remi about the claims. As the conversation gained momentum, the actor chose to break his silence, taking to his Instagram page to respond. In his post, Remi warned trolls and critics against spreading gay insinuations on his page, making it clear that he does not seek followers at the expense of his peace. He wrote, "This page is for love and light and good vibes. I'm not desperate for followers or engagements. If you come with darkness and negativity from a blog to my page, DM or phone, I will block you, be it a friend, fan, or family. I respect my space and energy tremendously. That is why I don't see all this nonsense normally. My boundaries are very clear: love, light, and things." While Kunle Remi did not directly address the specific allegations, his message emphasized his desire to maintain a positive online space. Famous Nigerian music executive Don Jazzy has challenged content creator turned singer Oluwadolas over his recent claims. Oluwadolas, in an Instagram post, disclosed that an unnamed gay music executive requested sex from him as a condition to promote his songs. However, reacting to the singer's allegation under the comment section of a blog post, Don Jazzy dared Oluwadolas to mention the entertainer's name. He wrote, "Tag the person or it's a lie, sir." Controversial lifestyle influencer Idris Okuneye, also known as Bobrisky, has allegedly been arrested at the Seme border while attempting to flee Nigeria for Benin Republic. The revelation was made by popular critic Very Dark Man, who claimed Bobrisky was apprehended by Nigerian immigration officers while trying to escape the ongoing investigation by the House of Representatives. In a post shared on Instagram, Very Dark Man wrote, "Bobrisky has been arrested this morning at the Seme border while trying to enter Benin Republic to escape the current investigation by the House of Reps. He is allegedly being held by the Nigerian immigration. Make we wait for Bob to debunk. Cho cho cho." It is worth noting that Bobrisky refused to appear after being invited to a panel at the House of Representatives to answer the viral leaked audios where he admitted to bribing his way out of prison with the help of his godfather, including having his money laundering case dropped by the EFCC. Media personality Toke Makinwa breaks silence on her reports of rumored marriage. On Sunday, 20th October, news made the rounds that the socialite had supposedly tied the knot with a certain Farouk. Photos surfaced online had shown Toke Makinwa in a white gown and the man in a matching white cloth, which had engendered the idea. She took to her social media page to break the silence on the matter. Toke Makinwa noted that she didn't get married, thanking fans for the prayers and congratulatory messages they had sent her. She wrote, "I did not get married yesterday. I deeply appreciate all your love and prayers. I see how you all desire for me to settle down, and God, who is the author of time, will do it when he thinks it is right. Yesterday was to honor God." Nigerian music superstar Wizkid has achieved an impressive milestone on Spotify, setting a new record for the highest first-day streams by any song. His hit single, "Piece of My Heart," garnered an astonishing 1.01 million streams on his debut day, displaying his immense popularity and the song's widespread appeal. The Grammy-winning singer unveiled his highly anticipated single, "Piece of My Heart," over the weekend, featuring the talented American singer-songwriter Brent Faiyaz. This collaboration has been eagerly awaited by fans, and it promises to blend Wizkid's unique Afrobeat sound with Faiyaz's soulful style, creating a captivating musical experience. With this release, both artists are set to make waves in the music industry and delight listeners around the world. And that's the buzz today. Please do not forget to share, like, and follow our social media platforms for more entertaining stories. I am your very host, Favor Machi. Thank you so much for watching.
Recording in progress.
We're glad to still have you here on Signature Morning, Signature Television. Don't forget you can always follow us on all our social media platforms. We are live 24/7 on YouTube at Signature TV. And all other social media platforms are Signature TV officials. We'll be switching guests to know still on the issue at hand or what's happening around us in the Southeast in general, talking about the sit-at-home order. So we have right on phone, we have him on call. Journalist, he's a journalist, Radio Nigeria, Mr. Lawrence Wokede. Good morning, Mr. Lawrence.
Good morning.
How are you doing this morning, Lawrence?
Fine. Thanks very much to God Almighty for seeing another new day.
Okay, sir. So we got reports, the news making the rounds on social media, even the video, saying that people should stay at home on Monday and Tuesday, talking about 21st and 22nd of October. How is it in your place? We want to know, where are you located and how is the sit-at-home order going?
Okay, thank you. I'm at Umaya. I live in Umaya.
Abia State.
Abia State, the capital of Abia State. In Abia State, let me talk of the place I'm staying, because which is Umaya. I have not been to Aba, because Aba is where the whole thing is most affected. But in Umaya, which is the capital, everywhere was out of road. No, in fact, few vehicles were seen on the road. And those that were seen on the road are even the ones that are maybe in emergency, like ambulance, like most emergency people that are going for work, like we, the journalists, who has no option than to be on the road to monitor the people. Then, but for vehicles like commercial vehicles, tricycle and what have you, other buses, they stayed off the road yesterday. But I'm talking as of yesterday. This morning I'm going to go out.
Okay.
I'm preparing to go out. But
So,
as of yesterday, all these vehicles were out of the road. Even the school children could not go to school. Most schools, majority of the schools shut down in fear of the unknown.
okay, but how is the security? How is the security in Abia State, especially in Umuahia?
The little I saw yesterday morning, there was security, tight security everywhere, because I saw this, what I call them, this police, army, and other things doing what they call show of force, whereby they are moving slowly on the road, ensuring that there is no breakdown of law and order. So,
Thank you very much, Mr. Lawrence. But I'd like to ask, why do you think that the people would want to pay attention to some state actors other than the governor that has come out to tell people to come out?
The thing is that I don't think people will break that law of sit at home, but they are only afraid of the unknown. In this country we are, you don't know where attack will come from. So not that people will be decided to obey these unseen actors or whatever, but people are afraid of their life. Who would like to live this life whereby you take a risk of coming out, saying you are trading or you are doing when you don't know? Hoodlums can hijack on me. Most of the times hoodlums hijack on such things and attack and cut away properties and whatever.
All right, thank you. So, finally, before we let you go, how was your experience while moving yesterday? I for everyone that I had interviewed, I had to ask, were you afraid?
Good. You see, when I would tell you, like, when I moved, I didn't even go far because I was even skeptical of somebody attacking me or. So I drove a little distance of about 3 kilometers or thereabouts, I revised my vehicle and decided to come back home because I value my life and my family. So when I was going on the road, I noticed that people were not, you can't even see the incoming vehicle in front of you. You just notice that you are going alone in a lonely road. And when even workers couldn't go to work, because where will you see vehicle to go? Because everybody was afraid. So not that I moved so far. I moved just a few distance and.
Thank you very
Okay, so today in Abia State, I would want to know whether there is any news. Is there any news making the rounds of security of what is happening in Aba, to be precise? Have you heard anything?
I have not put a call to Aba because I wanted to put a call this morning before you people soon came. So I decided I will put a call to my colleagues that are in Aba to ask them how. But somebody that came down from Aba told me that what they saw towards this sit-at-home when it was about to come, that they know that it will be a total shutdown, like in Aba. Because Aba people are more of that trading in nature, so they can just shut their markets. But I will try and make a call today to know how far the situation is. But for now, everywhere is safe. No casualty has been reported of anywhere, maybe like attack or killing or whatever. Nothing like that now in Abia State. Abia is calm.
Okay. Okay. We hope, you know, the security and the calmness, you know, continues and the peace continues. We'll be getting across to you later to know the situation of what is happening in Aba and Omar here and no other part of Abia State. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lawrence Wokedi. Thank you. We'll be getting in touch.
I'm happy. Thanks.
All right, you can see, Josh, the situation in Aba isn't that much bad, I would say, but so far so good. We've also not have heard anything from Imo State.
Yes. No, but of course,
State.
we're going to get more information from those parts of the states to, you know, keep us in loop with what is going on in the Southeast. Even if it's not going to be on the Signature Morning Show, trust us, we are going to be giving you every information you need to know to keep you informed and to keep you safe, of course. We're going to be moving over to something else. We'll have an interview lined up for you. And of course, Internet Watch will be coming shortly. We'll see you after this.
Glad to know you're there and welcome to Signature Television. This is the Sport News segment and I am Franklin Imona. We begin with football, where the Super Falcons head coach Justin Madugu has invited captain Rashidat Ajibade, goalkeeper Chiamaka Nadozie, and 23 other players for the 2 international friendly matches planned for the 9-time African champions against their Algerian counterparts in Lagos at the end of this month. The matches are billed for the Mobolaji Johnson Arena, Lagos Island on Saturday, the 26th of October and Tuesday, the 29th of October 2024. It is the first time that the Falcons are playing international friendly matches on home soil since the Aisha Buhari Invitational Tournament, which was held at the same venue 3 years ago. Madugu has also called Turkish-based defender Oluwatosi Demei, Comfort Folorusho of Edo Queens, Spain-based Gift Monday, and a long list of home-based players and professionals, and a couple of Falconets who featured at the FIFA Under-20 Women's World Cup in Colombia last month. The Algerian delegation are expected to arrive in Nigeria on Wednesday, and the Confederation of African Football (CAF) has already approved the 2 games, which will be overseen by FIFA match officials from Benin Republic. Still in football, according to Libya sources, the Confederation of African Football (CAF) has announced its final decision on the budged Libyan-Nigerian African Cup of Nations qualifying match. The 2 parties had until Sunday, October 19, to submit their sides of the case. But, as the Libyan El Aral channel puts it, not just the failed match at the Beninia Stadium is being investigated. The publication has it that the Libyan Football Federation may have asked that the first leg match that Libya lost should be included in the investigation as well. The Libyan Federation submitted all its documents it collected with a specialized lawyer assigned by the Libyan Federation to supervise the Libyan file with the Confederation of African Football. And in the UFC, Francis Ngannou has dedicated Saturday night's win to his late 15-month-old son, Kobe, who passed away earlier this year. The Cameroonian giant marked his return to mixed martial arts with a first-round stoppage win of Renan Ferreira at the PFL Super Fights event in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Ngannou knocked out Ferreira with some brutal ground punches in his first MMA comeback in nearly 3 years following his brief exploit in boxing. That's all from the sporting scene. Follow us on all our social media handles to enjoy much more. I am Franklin Imona saying bye for now.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Signature Morning on Signature Television. And if you've been with us, well, I'm sure you've been enjoying all that we've been bringing to you. We're going to be moving over to another guest. His name is Engineer Peter Chukwuma. He's the MD Imo Water and Sewage Corporation in Imo State. He's he's going to be joining us in a conversation, urban water utilities reform. We want to get to know about things happening in Imo State and Southeast, of course. Good morning, engineer. Can you hear us?
Can you confirm you are hearing me too?
Good morning, engineer.
Yeah, good morning. Are you hearing me?
Yes, loud and
we
clear.
We can hear you. Good morning and welcome.
Oh, very good.
So before we move to what we want to discuss, I wanted to get your take on this sit at home that has been in place from yesterday heading over till today. You are in Imo State, I believe. So I want you to tell us about your own experience in Imo State. How has the sit at home been for you?
Okay. I wouldn't say more because I didn't move around much. Where I'm staying is calm, nothing, no incidents, nothing is happening. So I would say that I'm not in a position to give you a very candid report on the situation because I just stayed and relaxed. I had my rest and I did my work online. And as I'm speaking to you, I'm speaking to you from the balcony of my house. But generally, there is no incidents.
So, but I want to get your general take on the sit at home as a whole. Do you support the sit at home? What's your take on it?
Yeah, it has its own toll on the economy. And I would say that it's something that bothers us, and, especially as a professional. I'm looking at the man hours that are wasted in not being engaged in productive activity. Uh, Generally, the situation around us is safe, but we always tread on the side of caution where we say it's better to be safe. So, on that reason, we stayed at home because hoodlums do take advantage of situations like this. Anything can happen outside. So that is, to me, sitting at home has a lot of disadvantages for us here because Mondays or even today being a Tuesday, supposed to be a very productive working period for people.
Okay, but is the security in Imo State tight? Are people moving about, their businesses so far today?
Yeah, people are moving about, especially those of us in the city. I wouldn't know what is happening outside the Owerri city, but move around.
All right, thank you very much for that report. Let's move ahead to the topic we have here, the urban water utilities reform. So I would want to know, what are the major, challenges currently facing urban water utilities in Imo State?
Okay, thank you very much for that question. I want to add that the situation or the condition is an endemic situation that happens nationwide. Um, when you talk about the urban water utility, you're talking about the water agency that is responsible for providing potable water to the public in the urban areas. Urban areas, by our definition, entails cities or settlements with a population of 20,000 or above. I mean, the population, the demographic figure, we're looking at people 20,000 and above. We classify such settlement as urban, as urban. Now, the general problem with water supply in urban settlement, uh, we have this issue of dilapidated infrastructures. We have water schemes that are world class, very good water schemes, but they were built several years ago. And because of poor maintenance culture in the country, these infrastructures are working below design capacity. In some places, they are not even working at all. And even where they are working, I talked about below design capacity, and this has to do with a whole gamut of problems, starting from dilapidated infrastructure and the main problem of power supply. Because water supply entails a lot of mechanized systems of pumps, compressors that requires energy. And the energy chain in the country affects water supply severely, so much. We have the problem of sometimes erratic power supply. We have power voltage outages, voltage failures, phase failures. These do affect our ability to impact the public. Urban water supply is supposed to be a 24-hour supply service, but power supply has been a major bane in the public utilities. That is the main problem in this country that we must get right if the urban utilities are to deliver on their mandate.
So how does the Imo Water and Sewage Corporation plan to reform and modernize water services in urban areas in Imo State? You've talked about the issue of power, but what other reforms are you putting in place? Is the organization putting in place, to make sure they modernize water services in urban areas?
Yeah, the good news for Imo State has been that the present administration has the goodwill and have been very supportive, because water supply is actually a very capital intensive activity. And if you don't have the support of the executive, then we'll be in a reverse gear. So the good news is that the government of the present administration is very supportive, and we are engaging in several fronts to ensure that our water supply systems are restored. We are looking at it from several fronts. One, over the years, there has been decay of infrastructure. There has been growth on demographic figures, where demographic figures are at growing infrastructures. And any government that is not supporting the water corporation of the state, you will now have a situation whereby things will be going from bad to worse, and things will move in the reverse gear. For us, the government has been very gracious. We have some programs that are aimed at sanitizing the water system in the state. Presently, Imo State is participating in what we call Wash program. It's a World Bank funded wash activity that will help us to build capacity, help us to rehabilitate existing infrastructures, help us in several areas, including in policies and regulation, and making sure that institutional arrangement for proper functioning of the agencies are in place, because there are so many things in our race playing together to working for and working against water supply system. And I think we are on the right plane, because every area is being touched. We are looking at the legal frameworks, we are looking at the institutional arrangements, we are looking at the capacity of the water agency, and we are looking at the infrastructures at our disposal. These infrastructures that are dilapidated, they are being rehabilitated. Some are being replaced. And we also have plans and programs even to add more to make sure that the water demand of the state is met. Thank you.
All right. Well, how do you, how do you manage, or would I say, manage the aging of infrastructure? Because we get reports of, some infrastructural plans or equipment used for sewage, some of them damage over time. How do you manage the aging? Do you embark on replacement, or what exact reforms are you putting in place to mitigate that aging?
Okay. As I said before, we are working on several fronts, but the strategy presently is looking at the existing infrastructure. Every infrastructure in water and sewage, they have design capacity. There is a concept we have in mind when these systems are developed, when they were constructed and commissioned. Now, the situation in our hand is that most of these infrastructures, either they are not working or they are working below capacity. So we are going from the first stage of our strategy, and that is assessing the existing infrastructure, putting them back to use. We are looking at what we have. We are looking at low-hanging fruits, things that can give us high impact with minimum cost. We start from there first, making sure that existing infrastructures are even working as designed. And when we finish with that, we are now going to look at how much capacity do we need to add? What more and more do we need to do in order to meet the water demand of the entire populace? Let's get this thing straight. When you talk about human beings, we need water in two parameters, quantity and quality. And when you look at the modern nature, he gave us water in abundance, you have water everywhere. But there is a paradox in natural water supply, the paradox of quantity and quality. You see that wherever the mother nature gives us water in high quantity, the quality is always suspect. When the quality is high, the quantity is usually not enough. Now we have to use engineering to balance this paradox. And what we do is we look for the available water and make it suitable for the intended use. So we are looking at the water corporation engaging in technologies and processes that makes available water suitable for the intended use. Now, this process of making available water suitable is where the challenge is. So we are looking at, we have infrastructure that have been built for water treatment, for water supply. Take note, water supply is just like also power supply, where you start from. You have to produce, you have to transmit, and you have to distribute. All these systems must work before the end users can feel the impact of water supply. So we are looking at our water treatment system, water transmission system, and water distribution system. So we are already assessed all these systems, have seen where we are having the problems, where we are having the challenges. We started from the production, because you have to make sure that you are able to produce. From production, you now look at the transmission system and then the distribution system. Remember, this is a chain. If you sanitize production system and the distribution and transmission system are not working, the end user will not get water supply. So we are looking at all the systems in the state to make sure that we are impacting the end users at the end of the day. So there is a lot of work going on presently to sanitize both our distribution system, our transmission system, and the waterworks in general. When we come to our distribution system, we have this challenge of these infrastructures were built several years ago. Some of the materials are materials that we don't recommend for use now. Like we have places we installed asbestos cement pipes. We are changing them to UPVC and HDPE pipes. We are looking at all these, working together so that in a year or two time, the impact of the public water supply system will be felt. Thank you.
All right, so you've explained a lot of things, including how you want to incorporate technology into your system. But my question is, how would you ensure transparency and the integrity of the system? How do you want to walk through that?
Yeah, thank you for that question, integrity and transparency, because we are dealing with a system that is impacting the public. And that is why we're talking about the reform in the urban sector. It has to translate to every facet of the wash chain. So we are looking at policies, institutional arrangement, regulations. So well, it's not a case of where we are the accuser and the judge. So we have systems, we have institutions that are doing various jobs. One of the areas we are working presently on is making sure the state has a water regulatory agency. But on our own, we also have the Ministry of Water Resources playing the role of regulator, okay, making sure that what we are doing the proper things. And even as an urban water utility, we already have a structure that engages us in quality assurance and quality control. For instance, we have standard laboratory where we monitor qualities, because water treatment starts from monitoring your raw water quality, looking at quality parameters that needed to be corrected. Okay, I mentioned earlier in my statement that in water supply, the mother nature gave us a lot of water that are not suitable for use. So it is left for us to make this water suitable for intended use. So we have a laboratory where we monitor the raw water quality, and from the results of the raw water, we know what unit processes are we going to subject this water to make it suitable for human consumption. When you are looking at water, we are testing and treating in three different areas. We're looking at the physical property of the water that you look at. Is it clear? Is it odorless? Is it tasteless? Then we're also looking at the chemical properties. So we have a physiochemical laboratory to handle all this. And then we also look at bacteriological quality, because we are talking about safe water supply. In safe water supply, you have to make sure that the water we are producing and supplying to the public is suitable for use, is healthy, is tasteless, is odorless, is colorless. And we monitor all these quality parameters from the raw water to our treatment system, and even from the time we are supplying to the public, we test at that point. And then we also go into the city and do random tests to check for recontamination, because sometimes you will produce water and supply and it is healthy, but because of poor handling, because of construction activities, water can be recontaminated along transmission and distribution line. So we'll keep on monitoring all these points to make sure that the water that is reaching to the public is suitable for the intended use. So serious monitoring is going on. Yeah, one of the challenges we are facing has been the sector coordination, whereby sometimes uncoordinated construction activities can impact the distribution line. You see places where, with good intention of developing the city, road construction or some construction activities might barge into our distribution network, destroying or uprooting pipe works. And we come and fix this. And we are working to ensure that there is a good collaboration, whereby if there are construction activities, every utility involved can be contacted, and we'll meet and make sure that if you need to relocate, you relocate. We have had instances where development activities took place without informing us, and at the end of the day, we'll find our pipe at the middle of the roads, a brand new road, very good to people, but the pipe has been disconnected or destroyed. So we keep on monitoring. It's a huge challenge, but we're not done today, because the government is giving us good support. We are sanitizing them, going stage by stage, place from place, until we affect every nook and cranny of the urban populace.
All right. So, do you have any collaboration with any bodies in to support you in this move, or do you have any collaboration with international bodies or even local bodies to help combat this issue?
Yeah, several development partners. Some were in the development stage, trying to get them involved. But presently, we have the World Bank supporting us in the SOWASH. We participated in the National Urban Water Reform Program, which was also aimed at sanitizing capacity, infrastructure. We're also looking at the institutional frameworks like regulation, policies, and the laws. Then you said, United States Agency for International Development, have helped us with some programs. Even went into soft components like even engendering utilities, making sure that we have an utility that is gender balanced and gender sensitive. They helped us with infrastructure, with capacity buildings, and even with some tools. So much are needed. The worst that could have happened is to do nothing at all. But a lot is going on, and we are encouraged. The state is going on the right direction in terms of urban utility reform. It's a process. It's not going to happen overnight. The important thing is that the journey has begun and they're on the right track. And we're getting the support from both the Ministry of Water Resources, from the state government, and it's always a good thing. It's a thing of joy to have a governor and a government that is supportive. It's very, very helpful because the executive arm plays vital role when it comes to wash, because it's a capital intensive venture. If you don't have the support of the government, it will be a very frustrating journey. I mean, the reform program would have been very frustrating if we don't have government support. That is the truth. Everywhere, yeah.
Okay, you know, you talked about vandalism. You talked about, you know, sometimes you see your pipes, you see the official pipes, you know, conveying water to different places being vandalized, and you see them on the street. But I want to just, you know, point out something, or kind of a question. Let's look at the unavailability of water, because these are the issues, you know, that we feel where the sense of vandalizing government properties or water carrying channels by people when they can access water, when there is water but they can't even access it or is not even available. So when they see any chances, don't you think these are the things that, you know, make them to go on ahead to destroy pipes in search of water?
Okay, can I just recoin the statement? I wouldn't use the word vandalism per se. Rather, what we are having is uncoordinated development activities. Uncoordinated development activities. So these things, they come with good intention. Maybe government want to build roads, want to build infrastructure. Okay? We have a problem in this country where we always jump into execution. Whereas in project management, the most important stage in project management is in planning. So it was during the planning stage that we are going to look at the environmental impact of these activities that we are going into. Okay, so that's why ESMP is very, very important. So you have to look at your environmental and social management plans. You have to look at the impact of every project. So we have situation where out of zeal, the government or government agency can move in and the earth moving equipment will be rolling, and they are doing a good thing of, you know, providing roads, providing drainage. But at the end of the day, or in the process of doing this good job, they are impacting our distribution or transmission network, because our assets are underground. So sometimes you can just start a project and you wouldn't know the damage you are going to cause by moving into that project. So every project must be preceded with ESMP and the AROP. That's what we're talking about, integrated resettlement action plan. When we're talking about resettlement, it's not only individuals. We can resettle facilities and infrastructure that needed to be resettled. If you need to move them, you need to relocate, we relocate. And that is why sector coordination is very, very important. This is the area that our mother ministry, the supervising ministry, is playing a role, and we need to do more. Sector coordination to make sure that when another sector or another agency is at work, they are not destroying the facility of other agencies, whether it's communication, whether it's power supply, whether it's water supply. So we have to come to a stage where there have to be this harmony among these development agencies, Ministry of Works, Ministry of Environment, any other ministry, whatever we are doing in terms of projects, we should always look at the impact on others and how to mitigate this impact. If you can't mitigate, if you can't avoid, we'll at least look at how do you make it good, or how do you make sure that the impact is managed. Because sometimes when you just suddenly destroy a distribution line, you may end up disrupting water supply for a very long period. And one thing
Okay,
about
but
water supply is that,
yeah, but what
hello?
strategies are in place, you know, to combat the scarcity of water? In as much as, you know, you are doing your best to make sure that, you know, or these things are not being done, this destroying of equipment or infra materials they are not, happening. What other strategies are you putting in place to make sure that there are no, scarcities of water in Imo State, especially in the urban areas?
Yeah, well, I mentioned that before. I repeat, we are talking about making sure that in every stage of the water supply system, every component is at work. I told you that in water supply, we start from raw water abstraction, raw water treatment, raw water transmission, and raw water distribution. This is a chain. All of them have to work in order for the end user to get water in their taps or in their homes. So presently in the state, we have sanitized our water distribution system, our water treatment system, our water transmission system. Our biggest challenge has been on distribution network, which have been impacted by development activities over the years, uncoordinated development activities. And presently what we did is to ensure that sector by sector, section by section of the cities, we are beginning to do what I call water audit. Water audit, we are looking at, we are producing water, we are transmitting, we are distributing, but who is getting and who are not getting. It's an ongoing process. That is what we are doing now, water audit, to ensure that water is reaching everywhere it's supposed to get. Yes, we have a situation whereby maybe our capacity will not be enough to serve everybody, but we want to make sure that let's even know who is getting and who is not getting, and what do we need to do to make sure that everybody is getting water. Your question is how to make sure that water scarcity is dealt with. So presently, our treatment system has been sanitized, and what we are doing is the intermittent production that is going on is to ensure that what people are getting as much as we can produce. And there is already ongoing works. We also have a USAID program presently going on, what we call ST Wash, which is aimed at making sure that distribution networks are sanitized so that people can get this water. If you produce water and it's not getting to the end user, people won't even know we are working. People won't even know that water works exist. So the distribution network that have been uprooted are being worked upon. There are designs. What we did was to divide the city into sectors, into sections, what we call district ministered area, DMA. So we have different parts of the city. We're looking at, we finish here, we go here, we finish here, we go there. You see, the problem is so much that if one is not being supported by the government, you'll be so discouraged that you allow things to go from bad to worse. So presently, the government is working at restoring distribution networks that have been destroyed. And we're also working on even the ones that have become so aged that if we charge water in some of these distribution network, we begin to get burst here and there because of the age of the infrastructure. So we are not keeping quiet about this. Yeah, it's not going to happen overnight. And we know that for a layman who is not a technical person, if water is not flowing in the pipe, it's like nothing is happening, but so much is going on to ensure that water is getting to the urban areas of the state.
Engineer Peter Chukoma, the MD,
Yes.
Imo Water and Sewage Corporation. Thank you for your time this morning.
It was a pleasure speaking on this, and we want the public to know also that water supply is a capital intensive venture. We have this challenge of people see water as a social service, but the truth is that it's an economic.
Thank you very much, engineer. So because of time, we will have to really let you go right now.
We'll keep on talking about this.
Of course, we'll have another conversation some other time. Thank you very much.
A pleasure.
Now,
thank you very much.
Yes. If you've been following today's show, you will know that we've been giving you insights and updates on things happening in the southeast. And in the studio with us, we have Chinemeriam, who has gone out to the streets to get live updates of what is happening. So Chinemeriam, good morning. Wonderful to have you here with us in the studio.
Good morning.
You're looking pretty.
As always, thank you.
Wow, I like the confidence of as always. That's really nice. That's really nice. So, of course, you've gone out. I believe you went out this morning.
Yes, actually, I was out in the streets of Enugu as usual.
Okay.
And the whole place is deserted. Yes. And, it's alarming because...
Good afternoon and welcome to Southeast News. It's good you're here because definitely we're ready for you. How did today go? All over the Southeast, there was this talk about sit at home and all that. And surprisingly, it affected a whole lot of people here in our base in ENUGU. Many people who came out could not find transportation to wherever they were going to. It was a sad commentary on how we want to move the Southeast forward. Anyway, that's one of the conversations we'll be having today. Another conversation we should have today is on the incident in Anambra State. Sad incident where over 10 people lost their lives in what has been described as cult-related killings. The other conversation we'll have today is on ICT and youth development. How do we go about it? What do we look out for? Well, that's our offering for today. It's a bit different, but it's our offering for today. Stay with us. Barry Kumado is my name. walks today. I was also involved in one of those long walks, but that's not the issue. How was your work? Well, what are you thinking of that? Let us take a quick trip to Ebonyi State, where journalists, not just any journalist, a journalist of repute, Chukwubike Madu, is waiting for us. Unfortunately, we couldn't get him on Zoom because of network issues, but he's on telephone. Chukwubike Madu, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Larry.
How is Ebonyi State today?
Well, Ebonyi is cool, calm, as usual.
Cool, calm as usual. But
yes, but calmer this time and cooler.
Okay, and cooler at this time. What was the situation in the early hours of the day?
From early hours of today, even till this moment, it's been a scanty flow of people and vehicles on the road. In fact, there is high level of compliance, unlike the previous times, in Ebonyi State, especially at Abakaliki, the capital. People do not observe any sit at home. But apart from a few, and this happens to be one of them, people complied. Markets were largely closed. The gates were open, but a few traders were inside and a few people came to patronize them. Banks were utterly closed for business. They didn't open. And so many businesses on major roads were also closed. They didn't open for fear of attack or an eventuality. So people largely complied. And for us coming to work, yesterday I actually trekked to work because I didn't see a bike or tricycle that could take me to work. So I practically trekked to work, but I was prepared. Knowing it could happen. But today it was a bit different, but yet you could count the number of vehicles, tricycles, and motorbikes on the road. So that's the situation.
But were there any assurances from government or security agencies concerning for those who want to come out to work?
Well, I didn't hear any of such. I didn't hear any. In fact, although that I saw some patrol vehicles on the road, a few of them actually patrolling the road, but there was no such assurances. I must say that Ebonyi, and particularly Abakaliki, has not witnessed spikes of attacks and so on for a very long time now. So it's expected that people will largely not have ugly experiences, except for those, if there would be experiences, usually for those at the outskirts of the town. Those were the places we had in the past experienced some of such attacks.
What would we say fuels this? Is it fear? Should I call it fear factor or what? What is it? Let me put it in another way. People did say that they were tired of sitting at home and they want to go about their businesses. And government gave serious support. I can hear the background noise. I hope it's not time to run.
No, it is not.
So now, government is saying people should go about their normal duty, legal businesses. But what is the present situation? Why is it that even after government says your security is assured, people should go about their normal businesses, we still have situations of people preferring to stay at home? What would we say is causing this?
People, it's unfortunate that people do not trust government, because government have not kept to their promises of securing property and lives. Oftentimes they will say that they are on top of the situation, and nothing happens. So people know largely that they have to safeguard themselves. Government will practically do nothing for anybody. So there is no pretense about it. So if people go out and they encounter problems, nobody will come to their aid. The response might even be slow. And afterwards, what happens? Is there any respite, any help, any aid? Those who have suffered in the past, what is the level of support government has given them? Nothing. So it's better people, 2 days, they won't die. They won't die. It's better for them to maintain their sanity, live their lives than hanging it in the balance.
Thank you very much, Chukwuemeka Madu. I hope that tomorrow, that is not a sit-at-home day, we'll have different parts of Ebonyi State bubbling again, people going about their businesses.
Surely.
All right then, thank you very much, Chukwuemeka Madu, for coming on to Southeast News. We're taking a very quick break, and when we return, we'll take a trip. I'll tell you where when we come back. Thank you. On Sunday, we had a rude awakening when we got a shocking news of over 10 people being killed in ENUGU, very close to the seat of government. So many questions about the security situation, but data shows that issues of cult clashes is rampant in Anambra State. Why is that so? I don't know. But I also recall that some few weeks back, about 2 months back, there was a summit that was meant to teach young people what to do to stay away from cultism. Did it yield any fruits? I don't know. But let's meet our bureau chief, Ndu Okbaleze. We couldn't get him on Zoom too, so we're using the phone. Ndu Okbaleze, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
How are you today?
I'm fine. You?
I'm very fine, especially now that we are on together on Southeast News.
That's
now,
good.
Before we get into the ENUGU story proper, how did the sit at home affect what you were meant to do today?
It actually affected me negatively because today's zone, when I went out, I couldn't go out early enough because of the restrictions and the fear and apprehensions. But when I mustered courage to go out, it was a trek to the junctions where I could, where I could be, it could be possible for me to report exactly what was happening. And Oka was a ghost town. I mean, what happened yesterday was a child's play compared to what happened today. All the stores, motor parks, empty. Government secretariat, both the state and federal secretariats, empty. All the major roads, Aroma, empty. You know, you just see one vehicle pass in a matter of maybe 5-10 minutes. One vehicle will zoom past, showing you that even the driver is also afraid of running when nobody is pursuing him. So it has a very big impact in economic and other activities today in Oka here. And that is a reflection of what happened in other places, because Oka used to be freer than all other parts of the state. So you can imagine what happened at Newi or Nichekulode and all those bad spots where people fear about activities of the unknown gunmen.
Now, one issue I raised with Chukwubike Madu, whom I spoke to, who is in Abakaliki, is it that after all the promises of, because yesterday I recalled that when the governor of Anambra State visited Nibo town, he said they've declared war on cultism, and that people are free to go about their normal businesses, provided it was legal. So, is that fear factor, or is it what Chukwubike Madu mentioned, that government says and do not do what they say, that is making people to opt for staying at home rather than become part of the statistics of sit at home?
Yes, I will say that it's a combination of the two factors. One, the fear factor, and then that fear factor is propelled by the inactions or government not being able to do exactly what they say they will do. Some people that I spoke to today, for instance, they were not happy that government cannot place security men at strategic places so that those who want to venture out can do so. But when you come out of your, when you peep out from your window and see that there's no sign of anybody that will come to your rescue when anything wants to happen, then the natural thing is for you to recall and go back to your home and begin to, mourn your day, another day lost. So I agree with him that government is not, most of the time, not providing enough of security for people to be able to come out. That is it. Then the fear factor is there. People run when they don't have anybody pursuing them because they have that at the back of their mind that anything can happen at any time. It's something that has to do with psychology, and it will take time to ease off. And government has the major task to get this done.
I think you're right. Even in ENUGU, as early as between 6:30, 7, 8, security men were not seen anywhere. And so definitely nobody wants to take a risk, because if you promise me security and I can't find it, then I'm safer at home.
That's it.
All right, now, what we will do is now focus on the Nebo story. I remember that yesterday, part of our conversation showed that there were a series of meetings with the government and the Nebo community. How did it pan out? Do you have any update for us?
The update I have is, like I just said, the governor was there at Nebo, visited the scene of the crime, and also went to near a Kenibo market where people were gathered, addressed them there, and tried to pacify and sympathize with those who lost their loved ones. Also, the State Police Commissioner, Naya Etan, led the top security chiefs to the place too. And but the zinger there is that police appears to be working at cross purposes with some of the families of the deceased. Why the police will want to, they call it, they wouldn't want the families to bury some evidences. And what that means is that because most of the families, they were rushing to bury their dead and get it behind them. There are things like, they have this fear that if government or police security lay hands on the disease bodies, it will become another case altogether. They may not have to get them back without running from pillar to post. So they were rushing to get them buried, and police did not like that. It's still an issue because they wouldn't want that to happen, but the community people want it to happen so that they can get it behind them. That is on that side. But then again, the people, the community itself, they are still meeting. The security, the leader of the vigilante in the community was able to make us speak behind the camera, make us understand that series of meetings and strategic decisions are being taken because they cannot continue to bemoan their fate. They want to take it, take measures to forestall future happenings. So we understand that they are meeting at the village level, at the town level. Things are happening for them to forestall future occurrence.
I have a tiny issue here. You remember, just before the local government elections, one of the issues we kept hammering on was the fact that we've been having pockets of killings and kidnappings in Anambra State.
Yes.
And when that summit on cults took place,
okay. Yes.
which you reported about, it was like there was a light, after all, in the dark cloud, a silver lining in the dark cloud. So how is it that we are retrogressing instead of picking up the pieces and getting better at what we do? We thought that they had re-strategized and ensured that the vigilante people were all over covering the hinterlands. This incident is taking place few kilometers from the government lodge. So how do we explain this in terms of the security architecture in Anambra State?
Yeah, that's the question on the lips of every other person here. People are, so much worried that this thing happened just few meters away, not kilometers, but meters, few meters away from the governor's lodge. It is not just the governor's lodge, also few meters away from the headquarters of the Anambra State Police Command, few meters away from the Nigerian Correctional Center in Oka, here. And also the office of the DSS. They are located very close to the governor's lodge. And this thing is happening uphill there at Nibo. So people could not understand how it happened. But then again, that is the reality that it happened. And moreover, it calls to question the issue of cascading this security, vigilante meeting and empowerment down the grassroots. Because if you remember, it was Ezinano community in Oka that held that summit, yes, the day they discussed it.
Yes.
And they were talking about their own community. And I want to tell you that since after that their own, things died down in Oka. Nibo is not Oka, it's just a nearby community. And then you remember the ENUGU, another nearby community, Northia, nearby community.
Yes.
So it will appear as if Oka Awka is getting safer, and these people are running to the hinterland, maybe where they feel freer. So I would advocate that government, now that we have local government, elected local government officials, they should ensure that the vigilantes are fortified and given more facilities to fight crime, so that this of this nature will not continue to happen.
I think that's one way to go, but looking at what has happened now and looking at the issue of the police and those who are family members of the victims, the issue of not bearing evidences, how do we find a common ground where everybody would appreciate the solutions that are brought to the table?
Yes, it's a very dicey situation because for the police, they want the evidence to go ahead with studying it. They have a lot to learn from looking, for instance, having autopsy, looking around, knowing where the guns were shot and how it happened. Maybe looking at it, it can give them the kind of bullet that was used. These, I think, intelligent information I think the police need to be able to plan ahead. But the communities, they want to bury their dead. They feel if their people are taken to the police and the matters will continue to drag, the image and the reputation of the family is also being dragged along. So these are the things, but there must be a common ground. And this will happen with more sensitization. It will happen because that Oka Summit, the convener was able to tell the parents that they have a big role to play in making sure that their children don't get caught in the web. So if other communities will get to understand that if you protect your children, I protect my own words, we'll have few people that will be caught up on the issue of court and court-related involvements.
Let me quickly take you back, just one step back, back to security, policing the area. Very clearly, the immediate past governor of Anambra State, we were told, installed CCTVs at strategic areas in Anambra State.
Yes.
So, Nibo being close to the government lodge, I would have expected that that would have been one area where security would have been paramount. Are you following me?
Okay.
So, the basic thing about security is intelligence gathering. So, where are we missing it as a people? That's my question. Where are we missing it as a people? We always cry when a life is lost, but we practically do nothing to protect that life until it happens. So where are we missing it?
Yes, I think continuity is still a problem in Africa. For instance, I remember the day that the CCTV and other security gadgets were launched. It was launched with pump and pigeonry under former Governor Willie Obiano. Yeah, I say it was launched with pump and pigeonry under Governor Willie Obiano. But even before Willie left office, people were asking, where are the CCTVs? Because soon after that launching, you could see them at strategic places. You could see the facilities. And even the facilities, just not seeing them alone, was scaring away criminally minded people. But before long, I want to tell you, before he left, those things were no longer being seen. So I think the present government is starting afresh, because I have seen a viral video of where they are mounting it, new ones at the bridge end of Anambra.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. We want to believe that you continue to keep us updated. That's Bureau Chief Ndu Okbaleze in Anambra concerning the Nebo story and other stories emanating from Anambra. Thank you very much for coming on to Southeast News. We're taking a short break, and when we return, that's conversation. You wonder which? I'll tell you, of course. Just stay with us. Recently, there was a fire incident at a catering school in Ebonyi State. And out of the 10 people that were rushed to the Federal Medical Center in Abakaliki, unfortunately, 2 died. It's a sad story, but we're praying for those who are still hospitalized to get healthy quickly. But on the line is one of those who is a parent of one of the girls. His name is Emmanuel Mizi. He works with NTA Abakaliki. Hello, sir. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, yeah.
You are welcome to Southeast News on Signature TV.
Thank you so much.
Please, can you just give us a little idea of what you know concerning that incident and your daughter?
Okay, thank you so much. It was on 17th day of this month, around 7:30, that I got a call from my cousin in Benin telling me that the kitchen section of the Catholic Catering School, the Good Shepherd Catholic Catering School in Abakaliki, has engulfed by fire. And he was told that my daughter is one of the victims. So I quickly rushed to the place. When I got there, I saw students running helter-skelter, discussing in group. And when I made some inquiries, they told me that they had been taken to police clinic at Abakaliki. I rushed to police clinic. They told me that police clinic said they cannot manage the situation, but they had been taken to Alex Sekweme Federal Teaching Hospital, Abakaliki. precisely Bonds Unit Accidents and Emergency. So I went there. The situation was a very horrible one. The two persons that passed on were right here with me in the same ward. We were 4 here. Unfortunately, we are remaining 2 now. So I tried to make inquiry on what caused the gas explosion. He told me that one of the students tried to lighten up his gas cylinder, and it was not coming up. Rather, it was coming up at the base without coming up to the burner. So she tried to repair it, they couldn't, and left it. Then a friend came in to assist. When he tried to use it, meanwhile, other students has lightened up their own gas cylinder, cooking that early morning, because all their dissing is in the same kitchen. In the morning, they will go and cook and eat before they go to hostel to prepare for school. So when the friend came in to assist on trying to lose the gas cylinder, it exploded and even fled to another section of the kitchen. The whole place was engulfed by fire. They started preparing for safety. At the end of the day, they were able to come out of the kitchen and they were moved to the hospital, but unfortunately, we have lost 2. And the remaining ones, some are still in a very critical condition, because some are still in a life supporting machine oxygen. So that is the situation. We are praying and believing God that He will save the remaining ones.
Yes, that's our prayer too. Our prayers are with you and your family. I hope your daughter is showing signs of improvement.
Yes, my daughter, I'm sitting right beside her.
Can she speak?
No, she can't.
Okay.
She's so down.
Okay, no problems about that. We are praying that the good Lord will strengthen her and make her recover quickly. We pray the same for the others.
Thank you so much, sir.
Mr. Nwizi,
Sir?
Given this scenario, we heard the wife of the governor came around.
Yes.
I hope she had words of encouragement for your daughter and the family.
Yes, her visit the day before yesterday was a big source of encouragement to all the parents. I think I was told this morning that he made some donation at the tune of 2 million and promised to take care of the hospital bill. But my brother, the treatment has not been an easy thing. Yesterday, I paid 340,000 naira to buy pharma pads for my daughter's dressing, which they have used to dress her today. I also bought central line worth of 27,600. So it's not as if parents are not making effort. And the treatment of burns is very expensive. It's very expensive. So it is our prayer and wish that more good spirited individuals should come in to assist. It's a very horrible situation, sir.
We will, from this point, that from Signature TV, would also see what we can do for not just your daughter, but for other victims of the incident, because it's a sad story, and they need all the encouragement they can get, all the families involved, and all those who had the burnt. So sad to hear that, but we're happy that you can give us a little insight into the incident. We wish you the best. I will still keep in contact with you after the program.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you very much, too.
Okay.
And that's been Mr. Emmanuel Mwizi, one of the victims' father of the fire incident at a catering school. We're taking a short break, and when we return on Southeast News, we'll have that conversation about youths and ICT. So we are back, and this is the conversation. Apparently, Kene Okolo has been with me from the beginning of the program, but he had no part to play. But now he does have his part to play. Kene Okolo, welcome to Southeast News.
Thank you so much.
It's good having you around. I've been trying to drag Kene Okolo to this seat for quite a while, but I'm glad he's here today.
We're glad.
Kene is into ICT, or as some people would say, he's a techie. Now, every day we look at the numbers in terms of unemployment, and we discover that it is beyond our imagination. Then, along the line, we hear that some youths are involved in tech, ICT and all that, and we are glad. But at the end of the day, you'll discover that the part of ICT or tech they are interested in is what does not give Nigeria a positive image. And that is not why we're here. We're here simply because the future is ICT. The future is tech. How can the youth, especially of the Southeast, develop their skills and be part of the progress of a better future? That's why you're here, Kenny.
All right, thank you so much. To build on this, there are 4 stages in terms of technology and ICT building. And yes, first, we need to look at tech and ICT as an enabler. So what it means here, simply to put, is whatever space or sector it comes in, it expands the work, it gives it more wilder spread. So when it comes into finance, you have fintech. When it comes into government, when it comes into education, you see edutech. And over the years, especially within the Nigerian tech ecosystem, we've seen what it could do in terms of fintech. We've seen amazing brands come out here who have been able to revolutionize the way businesses are done, transactions are done. And this is one of the ones that are very widespread. But see, technology has a lot of power beyond just fintech. There is agrotech, which has not properly been enhanced in the Nigerian tech ecosystem. It's even government in terms of what it could do with government. And then it's even solidly in terms of what it could do in cyber security, which, for example, we look at what's been happening in the past few days within the Southeast. This is a role where cybersecurity needs to be properly enforced in terms of camera surveillance in the states, in terms of widespread of engagement within the state. So you look at a state where, if the state has a proper widespread of camera surveillance, so it means that none of the activities would have gone without a notice of, and then you could even be able to fuse this into facial recognition, mobile tracking. So imagine if we had all of this. The case in Anambra would have had some level of intelligence to build on. But you see, when it comes to technology, there are 4 stages here. The first stage has to do with awareness. It means, do we know about what it could do? And there's a lot of talk going around in terms of awareness, what it can do. But we could end there and not enjoy the benefits. So we have awareness, then we have acceptance. That we are aware of it, do we accept it? Because we say tech first. What you understand about tech is that when tech comes into a space, it brings a lot of transparency in view. So people who are enjoying as a result of the ills of that environment are not going to accept it. So, for example, when you bring in tech into finance, it's going to be proper. If you're doing anything, any shitty deals, it's going to be clear there. So we have that in terms of acceptance. Then when there is acceptance, you now look at terms of adoption. Yes, do we get to adopt it? So adopt it has to do in terms of we'll start having trainings on it. We'll start having certain levels of connectivities, discussions about it. You know, much of what has done in terms of ICT within the Southeast is we wake up one day, go to a school, give them computers, and that's that. And at the end of it, nothing is really done. Because, for example, I've been in the Southeast, for example, when the present government launched the 1 million tech project, I opportunity to be the project director for Southeast. And part of what we did was we had over 50 startups where I was chosen from those projects. And every one of them started building based on ideas. We had amazing ideas from transport that were needed to be infused in transport. We had agro-tech. We had the fintech too. We had fintech. And these were mind-blowing ideas that they began incubations. But you see, I always say this. When you want to change something, you have to change it from the grassroots. So we'll look at what are we doing in terms of ICT adoption in our present day education system. What's happening in primary schools? What's happening in secondary schools? That's why the whole idea of the smart school in ENUGU is something we give a major thumbs up to. Okay. Because this is now real-time adoption. Not just going to schools and say you have a computer lab. Many computer labs in many secondary schools are lying dead. So we need to look at all of this, and then adoption.
Sorry about that. Adoption. Now we have adopted it. You mentioned agrotech.
Yeah.
And I'm shocked we are not into it. Sorry about that. Let me take a quick break. I'm so sorry about that. My apologies. I was just about asking Kene, so many uses for technology, but what caught my attention was the fact that given the present state of food insecurity, agri-tech caught my attention, and the fact that we are not using it the way we should. Why is that so?
So just like I've said, we need to look at where we have a lot of awareness talk. I've gone around in the past 5 years about agrotech, but the challenge always gets in terms of application and adoption. Why? Because there are little or no, there's a knowledge gap here. People are not trained.
So how can we feel it?
Now, because we're dealing with technology, we need to, and what we're dealing is beyond just the basic field in technology here. So we need to have a lot of young people who actually look at the agro-tech as a virgin ground to invest in. Because you see, agriculture is something over the years people have looked at something you left for the people in the village. But when we're dealing about agro-tech, it's a major business. You go to some nations like Canada, the wealthiest people in those cities are the farmers. And these are not people who are dealing with 1 plot, 2 plots. We're looking at cities. And because when we look at this, so we need to move our mentality from just looking at a mini farm and then look at wild spread. Look at what we could do. So then secondly, is training. There's a lot of training gap here. And that's where the government needs to come in. And because what we're dealing here is we're dealing with massive equipment. We're dealing with a lot of structured and highly technical equipment and machinery that needs to be properly managed. So we need to have a lot of seed funding. We've had a lot of funding going already, but we need to look at proper funding going into agrotech.
You just take a pause there. I think if you don't mind, we'll think about continuing this conversation tomorrow on Southeast News, because you mentioned awareness, and this is part of the awareness. Okay. But apart from that, another issue you mentioned is knowledge gap, and this little session can't satisfy that. So if you don't mind, we'll come back tomorrow and we have a longer session. Kene, thank you very much for coming on to Southeast News. It's been a pleasure. And then tomorrow too, we want to know why the youths can't be on board. Okay. All right. Sorry about my apologies again. That stopped Kene in his track, but by God's grace, he'll be back here tomorrow. For now, Southeast News is saying thank you. We'll be back tomorrow. I am Barry Kumo Ado.
Leaders, and the right that you're enjoying when you are 18 years and above. It implies that you have a say in who governs you, from your ward to local government to state and to the national level. The right to protest, conversely, is a right to say, even though we have elected you, we are not comfortable with what you are doing. We need a change of attitude. We need a change of action. And that right to vote and that right to protest would appear to have the same significance. But political leaders are afraid of protests. They're not afraid of voting, but they're afraid of protests. If you voted for a man and he's not doing well, it is incumbent on citizens to say that's the only way they express, because they don't have a parliament. They're not in the National Assembly. So the only way they have is to say, yes, this is a placard. You're not doing well. Resign. Go away. So it's a fundamental right. But when citizens take that right beyond the realms of peaceful protests, when it snowballs into destruction, mayhem, as we are witnessing some parts of Nigeria today, it threatens democracy. Democracy is a beautiful thing when well practiced. But when you take it too far, then of course, national stability is challenged. And of course, national security is threatened. So this evening, I'm being joined by Friday Okechukwu, PhD, he's Associate Prof, and PG Coordinator, Faculty of Law, Godfrey Okoye University, here in Enugu. Prof, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
We'll be looking at the issue of protests, democracy, and of course, national security.
Okay.
Of course, in the past, since the 1st of August, Nigeria has witnessed an unprecedented, so to speak, protests. However, there seems to be a divide. The North will appear to be very, very obsessive with the protests. The South would appear, apart from Lagos, the South would appear to be relatively peaceful. The Southeast is actually sleeping. Oh, what's your dialogue?
Properties and all that. Properties and all that. My view with respect to security, well, the truth is that some of us knew that the protest may take this dimensions, so to say, but the protest was inevitable. That's my sincere opinion, because from May 29th, 2023, up until now, Nigeria and Nigerians have witnessed, a great turmoil, in the cost of living and all that. So naturally, citizens are bound to react. Let's call it spade a spade, and I want to do that. That's on one side. On the other side, on the issue of protest and security, my opinion is that the government should have been much more ready than appear they are, because the protesters actually gave what in law we call pre-action notice. When you want to take somebody to court, you come and inform him. In some instance, like, I'll be taking you to court. So there is this pre-action notice also. I expected the government to be much prepared, because the government, whether the state, federal, even local government, they have the wherewithal, the arsenal, the military, the police, and all that, to ensure that the protest was peaceful. That's what is done in civilized crime. Once there is going to be a protest, then the state should bring its arsenal to make sure that law and order are not broken down. There is no two way about it. It's not only here. Even in advanced economy, you have protests, taking this type of dimension. But the government must try as much as possible to curtail it. And this brings in the issue of how do we strike a balance? Because managing protests is actually, for me and for most people, the very litmus test of government and governance. Governance is your ability to secure peace, order, and tranquility. If you see what's happening in the north, a couple of persons have been killed. As much as those some of those protesters have gone a little overboard, but I wouldn't take kindly to human life being lost under the guise that the states, the government, want to quell protest. It is the duty of government to make sure that protesters do not run amok. And when they do, minimal force must be used, must be deployed. I do not subscribe to instances where the police fire live bullets into crowd of protesters. Nobody, anywhere in the world, nobody will support that. That's the truth.
Prof, the northern part of Nigeria, Kaduna, Kano, Gombe, Bauchi, part of Katsina,
yes,
would seem to be extremely violent. Some people are insinuating that beyond protests, there are some shadow factors. And perhaps there may be shadow personalities that may have influenced in more ways than one the violence. You see what happened in Kaduna.
Okay.
You see even the way they mounted the armored.
Yes, and took over the armored vehicle
and all that.
Yeah.
So beyond protest, do you think that this kind of underlying political current in the north, perhaps if you go to Kano, the battle of emirs, who is that, and other undercurrent issues, or have you looked at the issue of these Ali Majeris who have been trained over time, because these guys are not afraid of bullets. So beyond protest, don't think that some other factors have actually infiltrated that.
Dr. Enuggu, you know I'm laughing.
No, I don't know. I'm not in your mind.
There's this Yoruba proverb that says that if the hair in the head still contains lies, which the Igbo call ENUGU, blood stain will continue to be on the nails, on the fingernails.
Yeah, because you keep on trying to extract some.
Yeah, so there's a cause and effect. In philosophy, in logic, there's what we call cause and effect.
Okay.
Your question is a very good one, an intelligible one, I must say. Now, but how do I situate it within the context of that proverb? Before now, we've had the issue of Boko Haram in the north. There has been, across West Africa sub-region, there's proliferation of light weapons and the rest in the Sahel, across the Boko Haram territory, into Mali and all that. There has been people moving in and out and all that. And so now, basically, before now, that area is charged. There's insurgency in the northeast, in the northwest, and all that. So now it's a matter of what some people call you are having lightning or thunder. Then some people are throwing bomb into the lightning. The whole thing will be booming and all that. So if you say there's another current, I say yes. But why I laughed is the fact that it still boils down to the doorstep of government. If you talk about security or insecurity, you are directly putting the government, and correctly too, you are really putting the government right in the middle of the equation. The issue of the Almanjeris, which you mentioned, has been on as old as the North. And a lot of scholars have been saying this, that nowhere in the world, except in Nigeria, do you have a sea of street urchins, and you call them scholars. People who are faceless, who don't have means of life, who are less vagabond and all that. So many factors come together in physics. We call something centrifugal and centripetal forces. Yes. Center and they come together and they are helping to fuel the situation. So if you say, not that even if you say, it's a fact that in the north, the surrounding countries, Sudan, Nigeria, and all the rest, our borders are, porous. And if the border is porous, then it goes to the issue of governance and government. So what this protest clearly brings out are, like Raleigh put it, some undercurrent of problems which we did not fix. And that was why I brought back I brought in the proverb of, if you have lies in your head, the bloodstain will continue to be, on your fingernail. So it's an integral. It's a complete whole number, one factor leading to the other, cause and effect. So I'm not surprised. I'm not at all.
Conflict management styles, the ability to manage conflict.
Yes.
Is the hallmark of leadership.
Absolutely. Yeah.
If you're a leader and you've enjoyed relative peace and you've never had conflict, you can beat your chest and say, I am truly a leader.
That's true.
Even in our homes.
That's true.
Even in where we work.
That's true.
It's when you encounter violent disagreement, strong disagreement, opposing views, opposing ideas, a condemnation of your actions by another, your ability to navigate that makes you a better leader.
Very true.
Let's look at the northern part of Nigeria and the southern part of Nigeria.
Okay.
Their governors. There was an attempt by the governor, not the attempt, the governor of Lagos engaged a day before the protests. If you look at what happened in Bayelsa, the governor of Bayelsa had been engaging. Here in ENUGU, you began early to talk about talking with government people. There's no need for that. Or unless they came in, and all that. And so, I want you to look at whether governorship styles, conflict management styles by governors, culturally, the North is culturally different from the South.
Okay.
In terms of religion, in terms of politics, in terms of approach. Did it play out?
Well, you see, for me, from observation, this conflict, protest, now this is a fact, this is born out from the last general election.
You think so?
Yes, and an event even before the election. Before the election, that's the election that produced the present, federal government of Nigeria. A lot of Igbo voters were actually traumatized. I mean, it's on social media, it's newspaper and all that. People are not allowed to. The Igbos were not allowed to vote, freely. A lot of them were harassed, intimidated, wounded, and all that. And so, generally, the Igbos feel that the outcome of this election that produced the present federal government did not reflect, the voting pattern generally. So, don't forget the fact that even before then, before the election, a lot of tantrums, shade have been thrown at the Igbos. So the Igbos are saying that, look, no, we didn't really vote this man in, and that's one. And two, we don't want to join this protest. Because if we do, I mean, you eventually say it's an Igbo man protest. It was the Igbo man who fueled it and all that. There will be looting and all that and all that. So the Igbo man will bear the boss. So we don't want to engage in this. I mean, you guys could just have this breakfast that you serve yourself. I mean, just as Nigerian would say, allow me just stay jeje. So that was why I said that the Igbo man's silence and non-participation is actually, in a sense, an active participation. That's that. For the North, a different kettle of fish. The North, for a very long time, have been enjoying some people, other regions have not been enjoying.
Yeah.
And so, given this present shake-up in the standard of living,
okay,
they can't take it. So they're actually annoyed and angry. If a lot of them feel that this government is their government. But there's something with the forces in the market. The rich man goes to the market and buy a tin of milk for X naira. The poor man go there too and buy the same. So when it comes to prices of commodity, it does not discriminate against the rich or the poor. So in the North, hunger is biting. It's biting all over the country. But for the Easterners, they've already made up their mind that come what may, we are going to bear it. It's like you are expecting something and your expectation is cut short. Naturally, if you don't have self-restraint, you would erupt. And another factor you mentioned the other time, which is a very fundamental factor, I know the North well, is the issue of the Almongeries.
Okay.
The Almongeries are a sea of faceless street urchins who do not have much Western education. And I'm not saying that they need to have Western education to, to really function well. But you also mentioned the issue of, culture. Culture to a large extent, contain norms that restrict, and sanitize our behavior, So that's a bit not too profound in the North with the Almongeries. So, as one of my funny friends will say the Almongeries only understand go.
They don't know how to come back.
So once you allow them to be on the street, I mean, you have a sea of street urchins, unbridled.
Okay. The federal government, agencies, the police, and other sister agencies,
yes, sir,
they received a heavy knock. In fact, knocks from Nigerians.
Yeah.
Not only in the manner with which they handled the protest, but in the lives that have been lost. But others still say, look, they've been so sufficiently provoked that, well, they've been able to behave within the ethics of professionalism. What's your take?
That's a lie. And I say this most sincerely. Let me take you back to NSAS. That was in 2020 in Lagos. After the NSAS, there were allegations that life were lost and all that. Till today, some people still say that no life was lost. But the committee that was set up by the government, by the Lagos State government, came down and said that this NSAS, the quelling of NSAS, resulted in a massacre. I don't know if you know that. They said that it was actually a massacre. The world press actually agreed that it was a massacre. So, given what happened in 2020 and what is presently happening, if you ask me to score Nigerian military, the police, and the sister agency, if I'm to rate them from 1 on the scale of 1 to 10 with respect to quelling and managing riots or protests or whatever, I would give them 1 over 10.
That's quite low.
Yes, because actually that's what it is. You see, what we have in Africa, to a large extent, most African states, are rulers, not leaders. Our rulers see themselves as monarchs. You see, if you are a monarch, if you are an Oba, or you are an Emir, or you are an Igwe, you don't see power as flowing from the people. You see power from sources other than the people. So in your head, you have an entitlement mentality that, look, these people are actually provoking me. But democracy is not monarchy. Like you rightly said the other time, you said, if even in the home we have, people disagreeing and all that, but your ability to manage it, to navigate it with very minimal, minimal violence is actually the hallmark of leadership or the test of leadership. And I agree. How would a policeman or policemen fire live bullets at unprotected civilians who are not armed with arms? The most they are armed with stones. The question I'll ask is, if you have 500 protesters and you have like 20 policemen, and if those protesters were actually armed with AK-47, you think the police will fire their bullet like that? I once asked a soldier somewhere in Anambra during one of these turbulent days. We came down from a vehicle. Upon the order, I said we should put up our hands in the air. I did. But my hand was midway like this. He came and started shouting, I will shoot, I will do this. I asked him, I said, if I were armed with AK-47, would you approach me and be saying you will shoot? He stopped and looked at me. His boss came over. And I told him, said, if I were armed with AK-47 and you were armed and both of us are men, would you approach me the way you approached me? You approach me because, like China Achebe said, it's the story of the hunter and the hunted. Yeah. Good. It's because you are carrying live bullets. It's not as if you are necessarily more powerful. If I am armed and you don't know whether I'm trained, you won't approach me. So to approach civilians who are not armed with live bullets. Nobody will support it anywhere in the world. It doesn't make sense. It's like your own dog that you went to hunting with suddenly turn against you. Those guns are bought with the people's money, with commonwealth. So I agree that protesters sometimes run amok, they could, vandalize and all that. But that is not an excuse to open fire, live bullets, at unarmed people. And no. Nowhere in the world would you argue that.
You must understand that no head of a military agency would give an authority to shoot protesters. It's like the story they tell about armed robbery. Sometimes they go to do a robbery and they say, look, no blood. And that is understood. But the call of duty, something may happen, as one of them may be endangered, and he may eventually shoot. When they go back, they say, why did you do that? We agreed. He said, but we're getting caught. Now, they were caught injunctions. You're a lawyer. They were caught injunctions. Ogun, Lagos, and Abuja, designating certain areas for the protest. In Abuja, for example, they left, at a point, they left the National Stadium and said they were heading to another venue. And that's where they had an encounter. In Lagos, where they moved from the bridge straight to the Ojota, the Ghanaian Amusement Park, there were no shooting. So, why you cannot justify that? Does that attitude indicate peaceful protest?
You know why I'm laughing?
Continue laughing.
I'll say this, a lot of people will not like it.
This is a serious matter.
A lot of people will not like it. Some lawyers will not like it, some judges will not like it.
That's why it's a common conversation.
Good. But let me tell you, emanating from last year's election, the 2023 general election, a lot of people, particularly youth, have lost faith in the Nigerian judiciary. Oh, I said this and I beat my chest. That's the truth. A lot of Nigerians do not have trust. They don't have confidence in our courts. It's obvious. And the reasons are, the reasons are so obvious, so apparent. That's one. Then two, people are talking of protests. The fact that to eke out a living in Nigeria is so much a problem. And you think reasonably, I'm a man of reason and logic. And you want to say, okay, if you want to protest, so this is the designated area and all that. I know. I'm not saying the court didn't give that order, but I'm looking at how practicable those orders are. With all sense of respect and regard to the courts and the judges and all that. But I feel that that order is a tall one.
Okay.
It's a tall one. That's one. Then two, you raise an issue. It's in criminal law. Incidentally, I teach criminal law. There's what is called the defense of self-defense, which is whether you are in the armed forces or you are a civilian or whatever, once somebody approaches you with mayhem or violence or whatever, the law allows you to use something proportional to ward it off.
Okay.
Yes. And that's why there is in fact, the defense of self-defense is a total defense, such that if it is established, it could even exculpate somebody of murder. I'm not talking of provocation now, I'm talking of self-defense.
Self-defense.
For example, if you pull a gun at me.
Or you push me to the wall and I can't break the wall.
Good.
I have to break you.
You have to react. But in self-defense, one factor is important. And it is important in anywhere in the world where that defense is available. There's what is called the proportionality. You don't kill a fly with a sledgehammer. Neither do you go after a fly with the barrel of a gun. So it will be wrong in criminal law. It will not amount to self-defense if somebody slaps me and I pull a gun. And that is why the question would be, these civilians, if they attacked you, what did they attack you with? Sticks? Stones?
Clubs.
But you are carrying firearms. Firearms is given a distinct, statutory definition in the criminal code under armed robbery. And that's why it is called firearms. It's a special, because it is lethal. It will either bring death or grievous bodily harm. So the issue of professionalism, if I'm a policeman, I say these people attacked me. The question is, attack you with what?
Yeah.
And that was why I asked the question that I asked that man. If I were armed with AK-47, would you come with this your rifle and say, put up your hand or shut up? You won't. You'll be strategizing. I also be strategizing. It will be man. It will be weapon to weapon. But when you try to quell riot with live ammunition, with people who are carrying sticks and metal and all that, I mean, there's what is called disproportionality. So the issue of that they were attacked, the question that will readily comes anywhere in the world is, attack with what? The armed forces and the police are trained to handle weapons. So it still boils down to the issue of that government has not been able to manage this crisis. And the test of governance is in management of crisis, not in sitting in parliament and drinking tea and pumping handshaking to one another. No. No. I remember when Thatcher, I think it was Thatcher, Margaret Thatcher was Prime Minister in Britain, who I can't remember precisely. Somebody from the crowd took an egg and stoned her.
Somebody even slapped the French Prime Minister.
Yes.
Somebody even threw shoes at George Bush.
It happens.
Okay, Prof, you hold your thoughts. We'll just go on a short break. When we come back, I have several issues to raise. One is a look at the speech by Mr. President.
Okay.
The other would be a call for military intervention. The other would be the waving of flags in the north and all that. So don't go away. We'll be back very shortly.